I want you to meet David Revels, someone that was trying to find himself an affordable housing option, and he thought he found it with Clayton Homes.
Went with Clayton Homes purely because of their advertising.
At Clayton, we have a vision of developing housing innovations that improve lives and help to build a better tomorrow.
And their website looks beautiful. Their presentation is beautiful online.
At the beginning, everything seemed just fine, but slowly the house of cards of this affordable housing option started to fall pretty quickly.
The site pad was initially placed incorrectly. The home was placed a little off. It was about 15 feet off.
His story is important to tell because it's a warning story, not just for Clayton Homes, for any affordable housing option that you're buying.
When things start going a little awry, start going wrong, they'll just deny they told you.
I've heard this same story many times. So it's important for me to share his story with you so that way you don't fall into the same traps he did.
If I can help one person not have to deal with this headache, because home buying shouldn't be this way.
With every good story, we got to start at the beginning and then walk you through the whole entire process. I wanted to know exactly how David ended up with a Clayton home in the first place.
Well, this was my first manufactured home. I had owned stick-built homes prior to this. Went with Clayton Homes purely because of their advertising, and their website looks beautiful. Their presentation is beautiful online. So, it all looks so great. So that's the reason why I went with them initially.
When you go to these sales lots, there's salesmen, of course, sitting there and they're trying to sell you the best product that they have. They're always putting their best foot forward. One of the things that they've been promoting is something called a cross mod. And what they'll tell you is that any of the manufactured homes that you're looking at can also be turned into a modular. And I asked him about this, and this is what he had to say.
They really didn't explain the differences between modular and manufactured. Those options were in there. They do tell you you have the option of getting any of these homes in modular if you want.
So just for the audience to know, if it's on a chassis, it's not a modular. And they do this sales tactic called cross mod.
Yeah, it's not actually 100% modular home because it's still going to be set on your site as a manufactured home. It's going to be considered manufactured because of the way it's sitting on your land site. That people don't know that, but they will try to sell you that because it is a significant cost difference in buying modular versus manufactured. So if that's what you think you're getting and you're paying for that and you're really not getting that, that's a little bit deceptive.
I just want everybody to understand, if your home is coming in on a chassis and it remains on that chassis, it is not a modular home. It is a HUD certified manufactured home that has some upgrades that will feel more like a traditional style home, but not a true modular. I just wanted to make it very clear. The word cross mod does not mean modular. It means cross modern, and it's a way of deceiving the public. I hate it. I think they should rebrand it. I think they should rebrand the whole word modular and make it very clear to the public. That's why I do these videos, because I don't want people to get deceived on the products that they buy, especially when it's something they're going to be living in for years to come. So now that we have that clear, I want to talk a little bit about the financing, because financing when it comes to a traditional bank and financing in the finance offices at Clayton Homes or many of these dealerships is completely different. And David was able to find that out as well.
So at the beginning, there was really no red flags going off just yet. You were like,
not really. Everything seemed great. You go in, they're very nice. Like I said, I toured 2 different dealerships. They're extremely nice. Any questions that you have, they have answers for. So there's nothing that feels off. The thing about the financing, I have owned stick-built homes before, and the process of financing a manufactured modular is completely different. So for me, when I walked into this, I thought it was going to be the same process. You pick out what you want. You go to your normal lender. I could, maybe use the lender I used previously, but it doesn't work that way. So they will tell you, if you go with one of our preferred lenders, we were able to, fast track this process for you. And so for me, I'm like, well, what does that really mean? I didn't really understand what does preferred lender mean, which I would find out later. That means that they basically own these lenders. They're companies that they actually own. So, that's the reason why they prefer to use them. And that process started. And from having previous mortgages, I was a little surprised on the interest rates, how high they were, and the terms and things of that nature. It was a little shocking to me, but in my head, I'm like, well, maybe this is just how manufacturing home lending works.
So I've talked to plenty of lenders over the years and asked them, why is it that manufactured housing has a much higher interest rate than traditional housing? Well, there's two reasons. One of them happens to be that if you happen to buy a manufactured home that isn't attached to land, where they're rolling in the land with the house, you're going to have a higher interest rate. They consider this not being real property because it is not attached to land and it's not deeded with the land. So it's more of a risk, and they're taking on that risk. And in order for them to make more money with that risk, that's why they add more of an interest rate. These homes are a lot less expensive than traditional built homes. They consider that to be more of a risk. And because they want to make the most money possible and the terms of those loans are so much shorter, that's another reason why they're willing to lend out the money, but they want to make as much money lending it out. So they add on that interest rate. But I want you to know that Clayton Homes in the past has gotten some heat for predatory lending practices. I was able to locate some articles all the way back from 2015. I don't know if you know this, but Warren Buffett owns Clayton Homes, and I was able to locate this article from 2015 where he talks about it and defends his predatory lending practices. This is from The Guardian, and it says, billionaire Warren Buffett on Saturday offered a strong defense of his company's manufactured home unit at a start of the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting in Omaha. Buffett said he would not make any apologies for Clayton Homes' lending standards because he believes the company's practices are sound. Clayton's lending was questioned last month in a story by the Seattle Times in the Center of Public Integrity. The story headlined, "The Mobile Home Trap: How Warren Buffett's Empire Preys on the Poor." And it said that Clayton appeared to use predatory lending practices at higher rates than traditional loans, which is true. The billionaire philanthropist Warren Buffett controls a mobile home empire that promises low-income borrowers affordable homes. The piece said, but it's all too often it traps those owners in high-interest loans and rapidly depreciating homes. Buffett said Clayton retained most of its mortgages after it lent to buyers, so it lost money if buyers defaulted. Buffett said only 3% of Clayton's loans defaulted each year. Buffett said that the article overstated Clayton's profit at 20% instead of his actual net profit of 2%. So billionaire Warren Buffett defends his predatory lending practices. But here's what David had to say about it.
And you have a really good credit score.
I do have a very good credit score. I would consider my credit score up in prime credit score. So for me, I was a little shocked on the interest rates initially, how much they were, especially with their preferred lenders. And the fact that, I would tell them, I feel like these interest rates are a little bit high, for someone with my credit score and credit history and, owning homes before. And, they always had some excuse why the interest rates are a little higher. Or if you go with this particular lender, this is what we offer. We work with Clayton Homes, so we're able to, get this process done faster. So I ended up not going with any of their preferred lenders, but I just felt like, maybe someone that has never bought a home before might be a little confused on working with what they consider preferred lender and the reasoning why they kind of push you to go in that direction,
So who did you end up lending with? Like who ended up being your lender?
I ended up going with a credit union.
And this is why I tell you, from video after video after video, please go to your local credit unions to get approved first. Or talk to at least a minimum of 3 different lenders before you ever walk on that lot. Be prepared ahead of time, because the practices they use to try to get you into their loan product is not going to be any faster, any quicker than with a traditional mortgage lender.
It felt right as opposed to the preferred lenders that Clayton was offering me. So, but I did find with manufactured home lending, your options are a little bit, going to be a little bit less. I mean, you're not going to be able to walk into any bank or call anybody, Rocket Mortgage and say, hey, I want a manufactured home loan. It doesn't really work that way. I would never just sign on the dotted line with one of these preferred lenders just because they're telling you that the whole process is going to be easier for you. Because I doubt that's really true. The process is pretty much the same when you're going with any mortgage. The process is, that's all. governed by the, government and lending, so the processes are going to be the same. It's not like really they're going to get you anything better. It actually is going to be worse going with the terms will be worse going with one of their preferred lenders.
But there's more to this story. There is even more red flags along the way that we can learn from David's story. And it had to do with the land prep. Whenever you're buying a manufactured home, it doesn't matter if it's on a piece of land that you've already had. It doesn't matter if it already has utilities to it. There still needs to be some preparation ahead of time. And this is what David had to say about it.
Land site preparation can be confusing for a lot of people because they offer to do it for you. So you have to pull a lot of permits. And if you're needing well and septic and things of that nature, that does require a lot of permits. And if you're trying to do that on your own and you've never done that yourself, that's appealing. If they're telling you, we'll do this for you. A lot of people choose to go with that option. But in hindsight, I think you should kind of shop around to see the cost of maybe having your own contractors come out and do some of this work. It could save you a little headache down the road.
So they tell you 3 to 4 months, get you all hyped up, tell you that they can do your land prep for you. And then how long did it take you to get your house?
They'll tell you that initially it's going to take 3 to 4 months to build your home. But, when the process starts, that's when they'll tell you, well, it's probably going to take a little bit longer than that. There'll be some reason why it's going to take longer, or your land prep will start. And depending on the contractors they use, it'll just be delay after delay. The land is not ready, for the home to be placed there. So, that'll start, extended amount of time, wait times for having your home placed. So it all becomes a nightmare because your rate will expire before the home's ready to be placed on the site. Because then all of a sudden you're stressing about your interest rate going up. And at the time I bought my home, the interest rates were kind of at their peak. They've gone down a little bit, which is great for home buyers. But at that time they were extremely high. So, from doing my research, each Clayton Home dealership, they utilize their own contractors. And this is just my opinion. I feel like they probably just go with the lowest bid they can get for these people to come out and do site prep and delivery. That's just my opinion, but that's from dealing with the contractors they use to do my land site prep and deliver my home, the quality of the work they did. Get this all in writing. It might be a verbal conversation between you and the contractor, and you feel like everything's on the up and up, but everything must be in writing, what they're telling you.
I just want to jump in right here because not only should you be getting it in writing, it should be written on the actual contract that they give you. If you're unsure if everything is very clear in that contract of all the things that need to be done when you're doing site work, have an attorney look over your contract. I know this seems like a very big expense to you to hire a lawyer to look over this contract, but you're making a big investment on your home itself. So to have to pay a lawyer $500 to go over that contract to make sure it covers everything that you need to have done to that specific house is going to save you a ton of headache in the future. Make sure that every single thing that you need done to the site itself is in the actual contract because they're going to get you. Heed David's warning because this is what they said to him when it wasn't in the contract.
This all has to be documented because I found out after the fact, when things start going a little awry, start going wrong, they'll just deny they told you. They told you those things during the consultation with your land site preparation. And those things did start happening for me. Once the home was brought out, the site pad was initially placed incorrectly. And I also had a previous utility pole that was it was a temporary pole that was on my land site from the previous owner. And essentially that pole would have been about 5 feet from my front door. And I was concerned about that because nobody wants a utility pole sitting right in front of their front door. And I was told initially that pole would be moved. And that pole is still sitting there to this day, unfortunately, because after the fact, they told me they never told me that. And I'm on my own with moving that pole. So it is still there. With the contractors they use, they go a little bit rogue because, they start to do things that later on you will find out are not approved by the county, or when you start putting your utilities in, that what they've done is not up to code. So that has to be corrected in order to get, in the end, ultimately get your utilities turned on, your lights turned on. Those entities will start telling you that the way that it's been done is not up to code for them to turn your utilities on, which is unfortunate. It's a huge headache doing that.
So you think at this point it's got to be smooth sailing. He's already gone through the whole site work nightmare. He's already gone through the lending nightmare. So now it's time for delivery. And of course, the nightmare continues.
So the way Clayton Homes works, they'll bring your home out, they'll place it on site. And I'll preface this by saying, unfortunately, you have to be on site when they're doing any of this work on your home or doing anything for site prep or delivering the home. If you're not here to see what's going on, once it's here or once they've done something, they're not going to change it. But they've never once called, still to this day, they never once call when they're coming out. And I think they do that for a reason, because they don't want you to see what they're doing. And if it's done wrong, oh, well, they're not going to change it after that. The problems I had was once the home was delivered, they do not allow you access to the home, even though technically, so my home was delivered on November 29th. I did not technically move in until January 10th. That was when I moved in the home. So during that time, I was not allowed to enter the home. Once your home is on site and strapped down, and they consider it, once they put the wind straps down or whatever kind of foundation you have, it's attached to that, your loan will fund at that time. So you technically do own the home at that time. You will start paying on that home, but you're not allowed to enter the home. Did some research online. They call it their welcome home. That's when you get your keys and get to tour the home. But up until then, they'll claim that for insurance reasons, they cannot allow you to enter the home. But technically, you already own the home. So I don't understand the reasoning in that. Like, I'm paying the mortgage on this house, the insurance on this house. I own it, but they want to allow you access to it. And I think that's just for a reason. They don't want you to see, what's going on inside the house or the damages to the house. Once you move in, it's yours and you're stuck with it.
Home inspectors get a bad rap. Not as bad as real estate agents, but home inspectors get a bad rap. They say they don't do anything, but I promise you, it is a small investment on something that you're going to be spending a lot of time in. Just like hiring a lawyer before to look over your contract before you sign it. It's just as important to go ahead and hire a home inspector. I would not even sign on the dotted line for that home where it's under my payments and my insurance until a licensed home inspector had gone through it. David regrets not doing that. I wish I could make a t-shirt that says, learn from David's mistakes, and then have a picture of Clayton Homes right underneath it. That would make a good t-shirt. Maybe I should do it. Let me know in the comment section. Maybe I will.
The day that I did my welcome home, I had a huge list of things that were broken, cracked, flooring that was torn. I was very shocked on the amount of damage that was done to the home. So it was my understanding that, okay, that's fine. I'll go ahead and do my welcome home, even though I have all the stuff that needs to be fixed. And it will get fixed. They promise you that on that day. Like, all this stuff is going to be taken care of. Not to worry. We're going to send this to the factory. It'll be done. And I even spoke with a gentleman at the factory that day just to confirm, like, is someone going to come out and fix all this stuff that's broken? Because these are obvious manufacturer defects in the home. It was delivered that way. And he assured me, yes, we're going to come out and take care of all these problems. At that point, then I started to learn that it doesn't really work that way with Clayton Homes. They will get to you when they get to you. And I'm still 9 months later, I'm still dealing with most of these initial manufacturer defects in the home are still present.
I'm sure at this point you're probably thinking, well, he has a warranty. I'm sure he has, a leg to stand on and start getting these things in motion. Well, the warranties are there. They're on paper, but it doesn't mean they necessarily stand by those warranties.
Well, initially what they'll tell you, because, I have my, great Clayton Homes owner's manual and warranty here. It's a nice large book here. They'll tell you what's included in your warranty. And initially, when I bought the home, that was a lot of these questions I asked, like, what if you have issues that, with the home, it's a new house, not to worry, we'll be right out to fix it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It does say in your warranty that certain things will take, a period of time because they have to order parts, things of that nature. But I quickly learned that there's no connection between your dealership, the factory that built your home, and Clayton Corporate. They'll all tell you different things. And all of a sudden, it'll be many, many months before you even get contacted, about repairs. And no one will ever come. They just don't show up.
One of the ones that really kind of sent off alarm bells for me was you have windows that are leaking and you have water intrusion.
after we started having some light rain, I started to notice water coming through over my stove. There's a vent hood there, and water would just pour into that. So I started messaging Clayton Homes and the dealership, letting them know I have water coming in onto the floor, onto the walls through that vent. And then I started noticing water coming through on parts of the home through windows. No one ever came out. I was getting up on my roof, putting tarps just to try to keep water coming in. That part of it has never been completely addressed. I mean, at this point, I asked them, could they send out somebody from the factory that's some kind of, inspector that can inspect the windows, and just to ensure that I'm not going to have this happen again. And they've yet to do that. They've yet to address.
So you've gotten to the point of frustration. So what have you learned now, and what steps have you been taking because things have not been addressed?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So, and I feel like, and after doing some research online, looking at other Clayton Homes experiences, they're very similar to mine, where I feel like their whole MO is just to run out your warranty. They'll just keep putting you off. And then the dealership will tell you one thing, the factory will tell you one thing. I don't know how many times the factory has said that they do not have my correct information. They don't have my phone number. They don't have my email, that they're trying to get a hold of you. The contractor, we've been trying to get in touch with you to fix your home. I know that's false, because if I look at the initial repair request I had when I did my welcome home, has my phone number, has my email, and I have actually sent it to the factory numerous times. So they've always had my contact information, but they'll keep saying that.
So in most states, they have some kind of manufactured housing commission, and you can go to them and ask them what could be done in your situation. In some states, they're going to be more receptive to helping you when you have had these problems like David has. Other states are not going to be as cooperative. The problem with manufactured housing, whether you're buying it new or you're buying it as a resale, is that there isn't as much regulation on those specific types of homes as there is on typical constructed homes. Now, some states have something called a New Home Warranty Act, and it doesn't matter what kind of housing that you're purchasing, they have to meet those types of regulations. So it's important to you, when you've exhausted all of your options and you've done the right thing and having everything put in writing, that you go ahead and contact your area's manufactured housing commission to see what can be done to help you in this situation. You have to sometimes get loud, and these people are not your friends. So go ahead, make the phone call, start making a stink, because they're not helping you in any way, especially when you have cracks in your brand new home, you have water intrusion in your brand new home.
But I did learn there's resources for manufactured homeowners in my state, and I'm sure other states have this as well, that there's government agencies that will be willing to step in and come take a look at your home and make sure that the builder of your home is addressing manufactured defects properly. And that's what I've done. I've reached out to them and turned all this information over to them, because I'm at the point where I really don't know what else to do, because they're not stepping up and honoring their warranty like they should. They're speaking to you the first time, that convinced me even more to because I'm like, at this point, what I have to lose, these people, trying to be friendly and nice with these people is not working. So, what do I really have to lose by doing this, by reporting them and moving forward in this direction? Because, it's not working. Ever since they came out and replaced my exhaust fan and my wall switch in my bathroom, it's still not working. I've contacted them maybe 3 or 4 times, the dealership and the factory, saying, hey, these things still aren't working. They have not responded to me. So I think that's they're like, we won't respond to you, and hopefully you'll just do it yourself.
Nope. It's a brand new house. It's their responsibility.
Since I filmed this video about a week ago, David has been able to get a hold of the Texas Manufacturing Housing Division. He was able to file his complaints, and he's been messaging me back and forth to let me know about the update. So let me read you these text messages. It says, update. I heard from the Texas Manufacturing Housing Division. They're coming out on September 12th to do an inspection. He told me that if there's any findings in the home that need repair, then the licensee, which is Clayton Homes, has 30 days to comply, or they'll start receiving fines or a possible revocation of their licensing. But that's not the only update that David gave us. We have one more. He said, I should have recorded the conversation with the state inspector. When they came out on the 12th, I'll record everything, but something that he did say, which was surprising to me, was the manufacturer is not required to send people out that are licensed to do the repairs. There's no regulation on that. WTF. Yikes. You're buying a brand new house. This shouldn't be the way that things are. And I know everybody hates the word regulations, but if this was a traditional style home that was built in the traditional way and not in a factory, they would have a ton more regulations. If these were true modular homes built exactly like traditional built homes, just so happens that some of those pieces are built in the factory, they still have to meet the same regulations as traditional built homes. But manufactured homes, they don't have to. They can have any Joe Blow put them together. And Clayton and a lot of these other manufacturers know that. And if you think that Warren Buffett gives two flying poops about what happens with his manufactured homes, no. He knows that the people that are buying his manufactured housing don't have enough money to fight back. He is a billionaire, and he's a billionaire for a reason.
I've only ever asked for to get what I paid for, so Clayton Homes is not doing that. It's sad that I've had to go this route, but at least I'll get someone from the state to come out and look at the home and look at the manufacturer defects of this home.
What is your biggest thing you want people to learn from what your experience with Clayton Homes?
Well, I don't want to discourage people from manufactured home living because it can be great, but you really have to research who you're buying the home from, the contractors they're going to use, and get everything in writing. I mean, it's extremely important. If you're going to roll the dice with Clayton Homes, I don't recommend it just because of the way the homes are built. It's just the materials are not quite there in the Clayton built homes. And what I've since learned that there's probably about 10 other manufacturer homes that go under different names that are also built by Clayton. So you do have to do your research, on who's building the home, the contractors that are building the home, because that's definitely going to make or break the home, the delivery of the home. The other thing is get an inspection. I think that's something that because I was buying a new home that I felt like I didn't have to do. Definitely do your research and look online. I mean, channels like yours are a good resource. Do look at the online reviews because I wish I would have did that because there's so many Clayton home owners that have very similar experiences to mine.
Whenever you're researching a manufactured home company, there's some places that I want you to be aware of that would be really helpful in your search for the proper information. Because you don't need to just listen to David or to me. You want to hear everybody's true story of what's going on with their specific manufactured home. Whatever brand you're looking at, I guarantee you there's some kind of Facebook group that talks about their specific homes and everything they're going through. So just this evening, I looked in there and I just typed in Clayton Homes and reviews or stories. And sure enough, I found a Facebook group that said Clayton Homes Stories. And you can go through that whole entire group and listen to all the things, challenges, even good stories with their Clayton home. Another great place to find honest reviews of any type of home or even builder is to go to Reddit and start looking at those Reddit stories. Don't just take something that I said. Don't just take something that David said. Listen to as many people as possible so that way you get the best advice buying your next affordable housing option. Don't forget, you can always look at the Better Business Bureau as well. The best part about that is you can see how Clayton Homes or other manufacturing home companies respond to the people when they make their claims against them. Also check the Google reviews because it isn't just Clayton Homes that becomes an issue with the actual house itself. Clayton builds the house. Then you have to deal with the dealership that puts in the house and all the contractors along the way that can make your home buying experience a nightmare just like David's, or it could be really well if you're well prepared ahead of time. If there's any more updates to David's story, I'll be sharing them in the comments section of this video. To watch more videos about manufactured housing and ways you don't get in trouble like David did, I have some great resources right here. My name is Christina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.